very fresh. Okay? So, this is how your heart would fit in your body. What is the bottom called, the pointed part? Apex. Okay, the bottom's the apex. The top is actually called the base. And that's where most of your vessels, all your vessels are basically on your base of your heart, on the top. All right? If these are corn-fed, grain-fed, how come there's all kinds of fat on here? Anybody know? Every organ in your body, even the healthiest human, has fat. Fat, what's fat used for? Protection. What else? Energy. When it's cold out. Insulation, thermal regulation. Very good. All right. So you're looking at your heart. Kind of identify the right ventricle, and it's easy to do. Or sorry, the right atrium, because these two little chambers right here on top, these ear-looking things, these are actually your atria. They're on the outside of the heart. Okay, so basically your heart is made up of many ventricles, the bigger chambers on the inside. To the outside you have your atria. Okay? All right, so help me out here. What brings blood to the heart? What vessel? There's an inferior and a superior one.
Vena cava.
Vena cava, then it goes to what chamber? Right atrium. Through what valve?
No,
I heard it.
pulmonary.
To what chamber? Right atrium to the right ventricle. Then we have to get oxygen in it, right? So it goes where? Back through the pulmonary, which refers to vein, or refers to lung, right? So it goes to the pulmonary valve, to the lungs on both sides.
How heavy is that?
This here is probably about 6 pounds, 7 pounds. Yeah, double down. Okay, and if you notice, the vessels on top are very elastic, very stretchy. Why? Why do we have to have stretchy veins, stretchy valves, stretchy?
What?
Right, because if it's like a garden hose, it would just basically be a way to transport, or a vessel to transport blood, right? But if it's stretchy like this, they actually help contract. All right, because they'll hold the blood, and as the heart contracts, they'll help squeeze it through. Now, if these are hard and full of gunk, then there's an issue here, right? Like Rainey said, you could scrape your finger in any of these vessels, come out with nothing, because these cows are fed what? Grass, grains, that type of stuff, lots of hormones. Even the healthiest human beings, you can scrape inside their heart vessels and you'll have plaque, because that's just the way humans are built. All right? Cows don't eat, basically cows. They don't have hamburger, red meat, right? Diet Coke, Snickers. They don't know what they're missing, do they? All right. So goes from the pulmonary valve or pulmonary veins out to the lungs. It comes back through the pulmonary, goes out to the pulmonary arteries, comes back to the pulmonary veins. Every vessel that goes towards the heart is called a vein. Everything that goes away is called an artery. So just think away, a artery. Okay. Comes in through the left little ear thing on top. Atrium. All right, atrium down into the left ventricle, and then what is the large vessel that pumps it throughout the whole body? Aorta. All right, and the aorta is basically, well, it's bigger than your thumb. Okay, and it goes down along your spine and your back. So, and then it gets down to your pelvic area, it splits to your femoral arteries, and it just keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Femoral. Femur, femoral. It's called femoral because they run along the femur. Okay, so first cut we want you to do is cut about 3 or 4 inches off the apex, which is where?
The bottom.
Good, bottom pointed. And these are very sharp knives. And yes, it's just like cutting a steak because it's basically steak.
It might be easy if one person holds it, another person does. They're gonna celebrate.
No.
All right, so as you cut your apex off, you'll see, if you get enough of it cut off, you'll see two little openings. All right, the one in the middle is basically your left ventricle. Center one on the outside is your right ventricle. Why is your left ventricle so much thicker?
Say it louder.
Well, it gets more blood, but it also does what? When it contracts, where's that blood going? To the whole body, right. So the more muscle works, guys and girls, young ladies, what happens? The more you work a muscle, the stronger and thicker it gets typically. The ventricle works a lot harder than the right ventricle because the right just has to go to the lungs, so it's thinner. All right, in this area right in here, in between here, it's called your septum. The area in between is called your septum, right? Just like in your nose. Split your nose in half, you have a septum in your heart too. Okay? So if you get enough cut off, you'll see something like that. All right? Then locate your left ventricle. All right, you can actually pull your fingers through the valves and everything and touch your fingers inside here, down inside the ventricle, or inside the chamber, right? So next cut, you want to do that, locate your left atrium, your left ventricle, and just cut through there. And be careful, because what we're trying to do is just expose the valves and stuff, so don't cut too deep. Don't get too excited here. Chop it all up. Okay, and then we'll open it up and you can see your valves.
Oh.
Are you over there puking?
Yeah, they're very strong. The chordae tendae are very strong. A lot stronger in the left because the left is thicker and stronger, right? If you can actually see the valves, chordae tendae. All right. Same thing, you have to identify those structures. Go through the right side. Cut through the right. All the way up to the right atrium. Again, try not to slice too thick or too much because you don't want to damage the structures inside because you want to be able to identify them and check them out, see?
It looks like a face.
Okay. Papillary muscle. Questions on that? All right, then just kind of explore. You can actually cut through your atria, turn it inside out, check out the different muscle structure inside there. Basically, the atria are
That's cool.
storage, right? They don't really pump anywhere. They just store the blood as it comes into the heart. Okay, and this is called pectinate. Thank you. Pectinate. I get this one in the bottom mixed up. Pectinate muscle. Okay? It's like my sister.
But you guys want to go through and identify your vessels, the aorta,
Go through and check them
inferior
out.
vena cava.
Try to identify them. All right, let's see. Okay. The big one that comes in here goes into the right atria, right ventricle is called the, you can see it, big vena cava there. All right, some of these have some of the vessels cut off, unfortunately, but they really try to be careful. Aorta comes up to your aortic arch. All right, when it comes out of the heart, it comes up, makes a U-turn down to the rest of the body. Has your brachiocephalic that goes up to your head, to your carotid. All right, questions? Try not to drop these because they do splatter. And keep your mouth closed around them. You don't want to get any splatter in your mouth. Questions, comments?
We want 3 to a group. You guys pick somebody that is going to help you today. If there's goofing off, I will ask you to leave. I'm not here to play games. You guys are here to learn. Okay? And I know that there's a lot of bodies in here, so please be respectful of your neighbors, okay? Make sure everybody gets a turn and look and experiment. But there's aprons at the stations. Go ahead and go to the stations in your groups. Now, I don't